Hello, and welcome to an introduction video for your ENC 1102 Argument and Persuasion course. I am looking forward to a great semester. My name is Professor Tricia Rizza, and I know this is one of the videos in our series of introduction, and this one is designed to answer a few questions. Now that you've been able to log into our Canvas and find our course, maybe even take a little tour of our course, what we want to do during this video is really focus on answering the following questions. What is the content for this course? In other words, what will we be doing throughout our semester together? How will I be assessed? That's always a big question that we all have. How is my grade being earned throughout the semester? What do I need to understand about the logistics of this course? So what are the little bits and pieces that we can find on our syllabus? And we'll be referencing that throughout. And what are some tips for success in this course? We'll end with that conversation before you're moving back over to Canvas to complete the rest of our weekly module. One thing I do want to begin with is when we create our environment here at TCC, we do it through what we call a culture of care. And CARE, as you can see, is an acronym that stands for Connections, Academics, Resources, and Engagement. And so everything that we do and compose and construct with regards to our learning environment is done through the lens of these four things, making sure that you have what you need in order to connect to different resources on campus, making sure that the academics that we are facilitating and that you are engaged in are reaching your goals and challenging you and provide the amount of rigor needed so that you can achieve your professional and academic goals. So let's talk about the content for this course. Just as a brief description, and again, you can find this information on the syllabus, ENC 1102 fulfills the second course in your communications bucket for your AA degree. As part of your general education requirement, you must pass this course with an A, B, or C. This is important to understand that because this is part of your Gen Ed package, which is those 36 credits that fall within specific subject areas, with communications being one of those, the course must be passed with an A, B, or C. This course is going to build upon not only the writing that you developed in ENC 1101, but obviously the writing that you have developed throughout your entire life, your entire academic career, your personal career. We focus on the rhetorical strategies and techniques required for writing and composing for multiple situations, not only at college, but beyond. This includes elements of research for the purposes of developing effective academic arguments. And I use that word academic arguments not because those rhetorical strategies are only done in the classroom, but because they provide a lens and a foundation for us. So let's talk about your takeaways for just a second. In any higher ed or any course that you take, there are learning outcomes. These are the things that we would like you to be able to say, hey, I'm walking away with this. And that's why you see me label these your takeaways. First one is to compose an effective text for a variety of rhetorical contexts that includes a specific thesis, a well-developed paragraphs, and a rhetorically appropriate organizational structure. This means that part of our course is going to focus on really honing in on those skills and strategies that lead to an effective text that is organized in such a way that it provides your structure, your argument, and the evidence to support. Along with that, we want you to find, evaluate, document, apply information from sources by using the appropriate conventions for the targeted discourse community. And then finally, the ability to analyze and evaluate a text by constructing a well-supported response that synthesizes ideas from sources but are developed using your own ideas while acknowledging and valuing viewpoints that may differ from yours. Each of these three is packed full of a lot of different things that we will, as we walk through our projects, we'll unpack a little bit more. So this won't be the only time that you see those. In fact, the course is built upon making sure that the projects and activities and the content that we learn are aligned with these outcomes in some way, shape, or form. So why writing? And I include this just because in so many cases, especially in an academic setting, sometimes we feel like writing in the classroom becomes somewhat of a job. I hear many times from students that writing is difficult, or in some cases, I have students will say, I can't write. We all know that that's not true, that we can. I think probably part of the challenge is figuring out why. Why is writing important, especially now? One thing we'll focus on throughout our semester is the fact that writing does improve our critical thinking. It allows us to extend our own understanding beyond not only what we think, but even beyond what we are finding in different readings that we will do, allowed to make those connections. In other words, thinking outside that box. It improves our vocabulary. We're forced to choose words that will achieve our purpose for our audience in a specific context. And so we've got to make sure that the words that we use are chosen in order to achieve the writing goal that we have set. It's an essential communication skill, especially now. Consider how many times, instead of seeing someone face to face, especially now, or even talking to someone on the phone, think about how many times you text somebody and what's involved in making sure that that text or the goal of that text goes through. It engages both sides of the brain. It allows for not only the analytical brain, but the creative brain to take place and come together. It helps you think through problems. If you're someone like me who loves to visualize different things that I have to do, if it's writing down a to-do list, if it is creating a mind map or some kind of connection through the visual, being able to compose or develop those things helps to solve those problems. The written word influences society. We're going to talk about this a lot. Our words, our language has power. And I would argue that in many cases, that's one of the reasons why we struggle sometimes with writing, is that we know it's permanent. We know that it's out there, and we know that our words do have power. It clarifies your ideas for not only others, but also for you. Again, being able to sit down and kind of parse through, write it down in any way, shape, or form. Sometimes that writing may take a visual stance of creating some kind of visual map to clarify your ideas as you begin to put something together. But it does allow you to, in a very concrete way, do something with those ideas that gets them into a permanent space. Could be a piece of paper, could be in the digital world, anything that would help you to not only clarify, but in many cases solve the problem. And finally, I will say this: writing is vital. It's vital to developing yourself personally, academically, and professionally. This we can see over and over and over again. So when we think about building our course, I typically like to offer it through different key terms or concepts that we can kind of grasp onto. It allows us to build a shared vocabulary that we will use throughout the course. We are in a course about writing. Therefore, while we are writing on different topics, our focus is the writing itself. What's the process? How do we compose? What's the language we need in order to talk about how we are writing something? And so there are several terms throughout the semester that we will focus on: rhetor, rhetoric, audience, purpose, context, genre, strategies, mode, medium, arrangement. These are all terms that we will use over and over throughout our semester as we talk about the different types of writing that we will do. So as far as navigating our content, or how, obviously we are going to be focused in our online platform of Canvas. Therefore, all of the content is delivered through that online platform. However, it does take on multiple types of content. For example, this video is what I would call a stand and deliver. This is a lecture. This is a video where I'm talking through different concepts, use of visuals or PowerPoints. We'll also have discussion. We have discussion boards, a lot of collaboration, with one of those being our peer review, multiple writing workshops where we work through drafts looking for specific things. We have our final writing projects that you will submit as a result of the projects or the process that we've done through writing workshops and collaboration. And then finally, reflection. Reflecting on what we've learned, what we had coming in, what we got from the experience, and what we can use it for in the future. Reflection is probably one of the most important pieces that we do, because in order for you to take the learning with you, to transfer the knowledge, we've got to reflect on what that knowledge is, what you already had, and what you're going to take with you. So how am I going to be assessed in this course? In other words, how in the world am I going to be graded? Well, let's take a look. So we have essentially 3 different assignment types. And as you can see, they are distributed percentage-wise based on the importance of that particular assignment type, all leading up to 100% of your grade. So for example, this is a writing course. So it is natural to assume that the bulk of your grade is based on the writing that you do in this course. You'll notice in essays and compositions, those are those 3 larger projects that we will do. Those are those things that we'll spend some time and process with peer review and collaboration. You'll notice that the 3 of them make up 55% of your grade: the rhetorical analysis, the academic research essay, and then the final course reflection. Then we have everyday writing. And I use this term because we want to make sure that we understand that writing takes place in so many different spaces, not just in this, we're in a classroom, so everybody shifts their focus to writing as only in an essay format. I want us to spend some time realizing that the writing that we do spans multiple spaces and contexts. Therefore, the everyday writing grades are things like our online discussion boards and the annotated bibliography, which will be a part of that second essay. You'll notice that that's 25% of your grade. Those 2 pieces together make up 80% of your grade. Those 2 things are very driven by the writing that we do, so it is the bulk of how you are assessed. The learning activities, which is 20%, which are super important, those are those smaller weekly assignments that help us to guide the process of the larger essays and compositions. This means that for every essay that we do in that top assignment type, we have a process that we go through, a process of foundational building, a process of brainstorming, of drafting, revising, editing, collaborative peer review, gaining feedback from others, all the way to getting each of those essays from ideation to publication. And we do that through the different learning activities that we will do. So as a brief description, let's talk about just those larger projects. The first one that we will tackle, which is the rhetorical analysis. And what this is going to do is lay a foundation for us, help us understand how choices a composer makes in composing a text relate to the function the text is intended to perform. In other words, what are the strategies that a writer uses in order to achieve the purpose for the audience of whatever the text is? That means that we're going to analyze based on how a writer puts together something in order to persuade an audience. What are some of the strategies that are used? The reason why I start with this is because if we can identify these in someone else's text, we can then begin to think about how we are putting our own text together in order to achieve a purpose for its goal. We'll then move into the research text because we'll take all of that information from the rhetorical analysis with regards to what strategies are being used in order to put together a text, and we will begin to use those in our own research text. This is a topic that you will develop in whatever realm you would like. That means that you're going to be choosing your topic. It requires you to identify an issue that impacts your current or future life. We're going to use this project to further strengthen our research skills, again, from ideation to publication. And then finally, the final course reflection, which is our final text, so to speak, or essay. is going to ask you to look at all of the different things that we have focused on throughout the semester. Think about what you came in with regards to your learning, what the experiences in our course have done to you or for you, and what you will be taking with you. In other words, how does what we do in our course apply to different areas of your life, personal, professional, and academic? Those everyday writing assignments that I talked about, those are including those online discussion boards, as well as the annotated bibliography, which we use as part of the research text assignment. Again, it is part of that larger 80% of the writing that we will do. So it becomes important to make sure that we are following those guidelines, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then, of course, the learning activities, just to parse through that a little bit more. These are those weekly assignments, those smaller things that help us build to those larger projects. These are those little assignments that you do. For example, the ones that you are completing in our introduction module, those are learning activities. So, how do you know which assignment counts for which type? It's all in the code. I do code my assignments so that you can tell exactly what it is. So LA, if you see LA, it's a learning activity. You'll know that it's worth 20% of your final grade. If it says EW, it's an everyday writing grade. That means it's 25% of your final grade. And then finally EC, which are essay composition, that means it's 55% of your final grade. The only time you see that EC is when it's the final draft. Everything leading up to that, all the drafting, is a learning activity. So, based on the code that I have, you'll be able to tell exactly what week and what type of assignment it is. For example, if you see W1, LA1, you'll know that that is week 1, learning activity 1. So if we have, which we will, another learning activity for week 1, it would be labeled week 1, LA2. This is just so that you can get a framework or become accustomed to looking at how those are coded so you know exactly what type of grade that particular assignment is. So let's talk about the logistics of this course. And these are those finer things that we'll see, or finer points that we'll see in the syllabus. So I'm going to show you these. We'll walk through them. I realize this is a little bit of a long discussion, so feel free to pause, take a break, go get a snack as we walk into this next part. So this information is just a brief overview of what you'll find when you access our syllabus by clicking on the syllabus link in Canvas located in the navigation menu on the left side of your screen when you're logged into our Canvas course, as you can see the picture here on the left-hand side of the slide. So let's talk about our online course for just a second. The content for this course is delivered completely online using a variety of modes, including text, images, video, audio, as well as links to other sources. All assignments are digitally completed and submitted. This course includes a variety of opportunities to grow as a writer and better understand your writing and composing process. And in order to become a better writer, we must write. Therefore, we will embark upon a semester-long writing journey together so that you can engage with different genres, compose for a variety of rhetorical situations, understand the conventions of different discourse communities, and begin to visualize your writing process beyond the classroom. It is vital to actively engage with all parts of our course in order to ensure the most effective learning experience. This course is an open educational resource course. That means, first and foremost, no textbook purchase necessary. Yay! All resources are provided in our online course on Canvas using things such as video, text, downloadable PDFs, online text resources, open access, or free online platforms. So all of the content that you will need for this course is already included in Canvas for you, and then of course scheduled through our modules and our calendar. So you do not need to purchase a textbook for this course. Let's take a quick look at our communication policy. When you are using email to contact me, your TCC email is the account you will use. This is also the account I will use to contact you. Please make sure you are checking your TCC email as well as Canvas regularly for course and college-related correspondence. It is your responsibility to check both email and Canvas to ensure you're up to date on all information pertinent to the course. But that's not all. Just because we are an online class does not mean that we are not afforded the same opportunities to meet in face-to-face settings. We can do that through Zoom conferences as well as phone conferences. So along with email, we also have the opportunity to speak face-to-face. We can do it through my office hours, which are posted on Canvas, make an appointment because I can absolutely meet outside those hours, and then we can meet in whatever way is comfortable for you, either Zoom, so we can be face-to-face, or phone conferences. When we are conferencing about a particular draft or an essay, it's really helpful to be able to do Zoom so that we can share screens as we talk through. So just a quick expansion on the email policy. When emailing me, please include your first and last name along with the course name in the subject line. For example, if I were sending my professor an email, I would have my first and last name, and then I would have ENC 1102 online. This allows me to understand where and who it's coming from. While I work really hard to know names, sometimes because of the amount of courses that I have, can't place you in a specific course, so putting that course up in the subject line is super helpful. In your correspondence, please include the necessary context so that I can easily reference the topic. I receive lots and lots of emails on a daily basis, and I may not remember a specific conversation or your specific question you had regarding a situation, so please make sure you provide the necessary information so that I can effectively respond. So if we had a conversation or if I answered one question that led to another, please contextualize that question for me. In other words, just let me know what it is that it's referencing. If you say the assignment, that's a little bit too broad. If you ask me a question, please contextualize it through the specific assignment and the specific question. So for example, if you say, I don't understand the assignment, I'm not quite sure how to answer that because I don't know what you don't understand and I don't know what assignment it came from. So it's really helpful to be very specific so that I can make sure that I provide the response that you need. I work very hard to provide a response within 24 hours. In fact, in most cases, it doesn't take me that long, but please allow me that 24 hours before you send me a reminder email. With that said, there may come a time when you have not heard from me in that 24-hour window, and I would greatly appreciate a reminder. This typically happens during those busier parts of the semester where I'm getting more and more emails. And so every once in a while, it will take me just a little bit longer than 24 hours to get back to you, but please afford me that 24 hours. I do check email throughout the day, Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Email on the weekends is checked with less frequency as I try to take a little bit of a tech break, as we all need. This does not mean that you can't email me on the weekends. It just means that you will likely not get a response until Monday. I say this because I want you to keep that in mind when we are working on specific projects, that if something is due on Sunday night and you're emailing me Sunday afternoon, there is a very good chance that I am not going to see it until Monday, which means you will not get the answer to your question until then. If the assignment was due on Sunday, that means it is now late. So just keep that in mind when you are working through our course to kind of plan out those correspondences. Our attendance policy looks like this. You're expected to abide by the attendance statement in the TCC catalog that states all students enrolled in college are expected to attend all classes. Now, this is an online class, so what does that mean? Attendance is based upon your participation and completion of our weekly online content and assignments during the weeks they are assigned. That means when I'm taking attendance, I look to see that you've completed our assignments or been logged into our course and completed our assignments, and you are recorded based on that, or your attendance is recorded based on that. I will say this, attendance and participation are two of the most significant factors that promote student success. Students are responsible for completion of all work assigned. This is borne out in statistic after statistics. Participation and attendance are keys to successfully completing any course, regardless of modality. So regardless of whether or not we were face-to-face in a physical classroom, face-to-face on Zoom, or in our case, in an online course, the participation and engagement are key. I am here to foster and support your success always. As such, communication is very important. You're going to hear me mention that several times throughout our course. Please feel free to discuss with me any circumstances that may lead to online absences so that together we can develop the most positive and effective plan for success. In other words, please let me know if you need something with regards to an extension or with regards to help in perhaps planning out how to complete different assignments. As far as late or missed assignment, the policy looks like this. I just basically say, please submit all assignments on time according to their guidelines and directions. I also understand that things happen. So if you have a reasonable need for an extension, communicate that with me as soon as possible so that I can help you in developing a plan for success. Again, communication is key. You are responsible for acquiring and completing all missed work and content which is housed in our Canvas course. The late work penalties do depend on the type of assignment. So for example, learning activities and everyday writing assignments are assessed a 10-point deduction for every day that is late. This includes weekends. And final draft essays or compositions, those coded as EC, are assessed a 5-point deduction each day they are late, and this also includes weekends. Please just keep this in mind as you're working through and completing our different assignments. I do have a final draft policy, and this is to help you understand the minimum expectations for receiving any kind of grade for that final draft. If you submit a final draft for an essay that does not meet the minimum assignment requirements, such as word count, adhering to the guidelines of the assignment, or submitting a blank document, you will receive an automatic 0. You're responsible for returning the draft to me with the corrections as soon as possible, keeping in mind that for each day it is late, there's a 5-point deduction from the final draft for that project. And I just say this because I want you to understand that the reason why those word counts are in place are to help us develop ourselves as writers. If you look at a paper and go, my goodness, that's 1,000 words, how am I going to write that 1,000 words? That's the reason for our process. That's the reason why we do our workshops, so that we can focus on how you do build that writing process that helps you develop those longer and larger pieces in a cohesive, organized, and structured way. As far as academic honesty and plagiarism, we are going to focus on this in a particular assignment during one of our weeks, which is coming up very soon. So I'm just going to briefly go through this. Academic integrity is key to success in college. While collaboration and using resources assists with learning, the challenge is to properly cite those sources. TCC policy is as follows. The college is committed to building integrity, credibility, and trust. It is essential that all members of the TCC community understand our shared standards of academic honesty. All cases of academic dishonesty shall be reported to the Student Judicial Office using the appropriate procedures and/or forms established. If it is determined appropriate, TCC shall take the necessary disciplinary action against any student involved in alleged violation of academic dishonesty in accordance with College Policy 10-12 in the Student Code of Conduct. Now, we will again go through plagiarism, the concept of what it is, what it isn't, in a subsequent module coming up soon. What I will say about plagiarism is this. First and foremost, don't do it. Everything that you submit to me is put through what's called Turnitin. We're going to go through that in our plagiarism assignment later on. This means that it's checking, and it provides you, as well as me, different flags and percentages, as well as different places where texts are coming from. So what I will say is, with regards to plagiarism, just don't do it. We are going to focus a lot on correct citation of sources. And typically, when I see different instances where it's flagging for plagiarism, I can obviously see, or I can definitely see, that it's a matter of citation. And in that regard, this will become a learning opportunity. However, there have been cases where that is not the case. In other words, Instead of it being unintentional plagiarism because of being unaware or of the citing that we need to do, it has been intentional. Unfortunately, it does happen, which is why we have certain policies in place. So if a student in my course commits academic dishonesty, I will follow the college's established procedure for academic dishonesty, which will include the following. I will notify you that you have received a 0 or F for the assignment. I will complete the form for academic dishonesty sanctions, which is placed in your disciplinary file. When you receive the 0, it will state in the comments the reason for the 0. The penalty for the first offense of academic dishonesty is an F on the assignment, which in our case, because of the percentage of that our writing is, it could also result in an F for the course. The penalty for the second or subsequent charge of academic dishonesty will include a grade of F assigned for the course involved and may include conduct, probation, suspension, dismissal, or expulsion. Obviously, these are worst case scenarios. I've never had to do this. Most of the time when I see certain things, it is typically because of citation again, and that becomes a learning moment more than a punitive moment, which is the way I treat it. Our civility clause. We are in an online course. That does not mean that we are not connected with each other as humans. Therefore, we will adhere to the human clause, which is our civility clause, throughout the semester in any modality or any form of communication that we have back and forth. This course is built upon respect. As such, we will engage with each other through the lens of what I call being human. This does not mean that we all have to agree on everything. In fact, we will have much more productive and effective discourse when we can engage in healthy but respectful debate in a rhetorically appropriate manner. Sexist, racist, homophobic, or anti-ethnic slurs, bigotry, and or disparaging commentary of any form, written or spoken, will not be tolerated. So in other words, I'm looking forward to some really great discussions. I'm looking forward to us disagreeing with each other in a respectful manner. I'm looking forward to us having conversations where our viewpoints are different and we can come together and have some civil discourse in order to perhaps, one, learn from each other, value each other's opinions and viewpoints, and maybe even transcend something to reach a common ground or consensus. Again, the following information, or the information that we just went over, is located on your syllabus or on our syllabus that's in Canvas. To get to it, again, on that navigation menu on the left-hand side of your screen when you're logged into our Canvas course, you'll see the syllabus where you can find all of those policies plus a little bit more that you will want to make sure that you understand as we move forward. So, what are some tips for success in this course? This is our final discussion. I say success is as simple as 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 rules to success that I would say that I kind of focus on and live by, right? One is to be present. When we're talking about being present in our course, we want to do a couple of things. One, understand online learning practices and expectations. We want to make sure that we are present in the sense that ask for help and use the resources available to you. When we talk about being present, we want to engage in our course. We want to understand not only the learning practices and expectations of online learning, but understand ourselves as online learners. And as such, you want to identify your learning objectives and goals. What are they? Why is it that you are embarking upon this academic journey, and then bring it down to our course specifically? What is it that you want to walk away with? And then, of course, engage. Be a part of those discussion boards. Check back into those discussion boards a couple times a week, even though one may not be due until Sunday. But if we are to check throughout the week, that means that we can engage in a much deeper back and forth in this online setting. The second rule I have is take responsible for your learning. While I can facilitate our course and I can facilitate different learning opportunities, I cannot force anybody to learn. I cannot force it into you. And so As college students and as adults, we want to understand that our learning is our responsibility. Make sure that you have the technology you need. Make sure that you know what you understand or what you don't understand so that you can, of course, reach out for help. In many cases, I have found having a dedicated study and learning space is super helpful when you're in online learning because in some cases you're at home. And so at home, you have lots of responsibilities, lots of things going on. You might be working full time and trying to do online learning in the evenings. Therefore, our space can be a little bit distracting. So understanding that and finding a dedicated study and learning space is important. Also, along with that, building a study plan and sticking with it, meaning build a schedule for yourself. When will you be? If we have an assignment due on Wednesday and you've taken a look at it and you estimate it's going to take you around an hour and a half to do that, when are you going to do that so that you make sure that you submit that on time? Build in those times when you check into our course to see if there's anything new, making sure that you know that our course is published by 8 a.m. every Monday morning. Maybe there's a time during that Monday that you make sure that at the very least you take a look at the announcement, you take a look at the module, and start to plan out your week. Reach out for help and use the resources available to you. Yep, it's on here twice. It's that important. Absolutely. You have lots of resources available to you as a TCC student. You are not here by yourself. Just because, again, we're in an online platform does not mean that you don't have people and resources who are here to help you. So please reach out for help when needed. My final rule is this: choose to succeed. That may sound really silly, but it's absolutely true. College or any endeavor, any goal is not easy. It's not supposed to be. This is challenging. There's bumps in the road, as you already know. We've all encountered them. It's what we do with them that gets us to the finish line. And so in the face of those challenges, just choose to continue to move forward and succeed. And please know, again, go to rule number 4, reach out for help, use the resources available to you. Let's have a conversation because we don't want to feel like we don't have a team or a learning community that's here to help support us. We absolutely do. Like writing, and I'll leave you with this. This is an infographic that I think just captures so many different things. But I will say, like writing, success is a process. What people see is the result of that process. Sometimes we get the iceberg illusion. That means that we have set a goal for ourselves to do something. And what we see is the result of that goal. What we don't see is what it took to get there. You guys are in the middle of that. We all are in different challenges and different things. There's sacrifices, there's failures, there's disappointments, there's good habits, there's doubts, there's persistence, courage, there's hard work, and there's struggle. Absolutely. These are the things that people don't see. But these are the things that we absolutely go through in order to achieve what's above the water, which is what we would consider to be success. I want to thank you. I hope this has helped answer just a few questions regarding our course as we move forward. Thanks for watching. You can head back to Canvas to continue with our module, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye.